Have you ever stopped to wonder, what are we really here for? Is life just about surviving, chasing goals, and fulfilling obligations? Or is there something deeper, something sacred woven into our everyday actions? Mother Teresa once said, "He who does not live to serve, does not deserve to live." But let's take it a step further. If you don't serve with love, are you truly living at all? Because whether we realize it or not, every human action is an act of service to ourselves, to others, or to something greater than us. Even when you take care of your health, you're not just helping yourself. You're making sure you're there for your children, your spouse, your community. You're showing love in its most practical, human form. But what happens when we serve without love, when we do it out of duty, resentment, or mere survival? What are we really building in those moments? In today's video, we'll explore 3 powerful teachings of Jesus that echo and elevate this idea of sacred service. These teachings aren't just religious, they're deeply human. They show us how and why we should serve with joy, empathy, and compassion even when no one's watching. And trust me, you don't want to miss the final reflection. It's where everything comes together. A truth that might just change the way you see your purpose forever. So stay with us. Because in a world where so many are lost chasing what doesn't last, discovering the true power of service might be the most important thing you ever learn. Let's begin with something radical that Jesus said, words that flipped the entire idea of greatness upside down. Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first must be slave of all. That's not just poetic. That's revolutionary. Because in today's world, greatness is usually measured by how many people serve you, not how many you serve. Celebrities, CEOs, influencers, they're often admired for their power, their reach, their success. But Jesus redefined what it means to be truly great. He said, "If you want to rise, kneel first. If you want to lead, serve." And he didn't just say it, he lived it. He washed the feet of his disciples. He touched the untouchables. He listened to the broken. He gave everything, even his life. But let me bring this into the real world right here, right now. There's a story about a New York City subway worker named Daryl George, who became a quiet hero during the pandemic. While the city shut down and fear spread everywhere, Daryl kept showing up to clean the trains, not because he had to, but because he believed it was his duty to protect the elderly, the sick, and the essential workers who still had to ride. Every day, he said, "If I can help keep just one person safe, then I'm doing something that matters." That's service. That's greatness, invisible to most, but deeply powerful. And maybe you don't feel like a hero. Maybe you're just caring for an aging parent, working a thankless job, or showing up for a child who doesn't even realize the sacrifices you make. But here's the truth. Every quiet act of love echoes in eternity. Jesus teaches us that serving isn't a weakness. It's not for the lesser. It's the highest form of strength, because it requires humility, selflessness, and courage in a world obsessed with ego. So ask yourself, do I want to be admired, or do I want to be great in the way that truly matters? Because if even the Son of God came not to be served, but to serve, then maybe the path to real greatness doesn't go up, but downward, into the hearts of others. The night before his crucifixion, Jesus didn't talk about revenge. He didn't talk about justice. He spoke about love, but not just any kind of love, not the kind that's easy, convenient, or self-serving. He said, "As I have loved you, so you must love one another." And how did he love us? With grace. With patience. With sacrifice. He loved those who abandoned him. He forgave those who betrayed him. He even prayed for those who nailed him to a cross. Let that sink in. Jesus wasn't asking us to feel something. He was commanding us to become something. To love not just with emotion, but with action. Not when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. Here's a real story that brings this to life. In Charleston, South Carolina, in 2015, a young man walked into Emmanuel Church and took the lives of 9 people during a Bible study. A horrifying act of hatred. But what happened next stunned the world. At his arraignment, one by one, the family members of the victims stood before the killer, and they forgave him. One woman said through tears, "You took something precious from me. But I forgive you. May God have mercy on your soul. That is not natural. That is not from this world. That is divine love, the kind Jesus lived and died to show us. And maybe your hurt doesn't come from something that tragic. Maybe it's a friend who betrayed you, a parent who failed you, a spouse who stopped seeing you. Still, Jesus calls us, love them, forgive them, serve them, because that is how we break the cycle of pain. That is how we become living reflections of Him. And no, it's not weakness. It takes tremendous strength to love like that. It's not about pretending everything's okay. It's about choosing to let love speak louder than hate, mercy louder than revenge, healing louder than wounds. So here's the question. If Jesus loved us when we least deserved it, who are we to withhold that same love from others? What if every action you took, every task, no matter how small, was sacred? That's exactly what Jesus taught when He said, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters." Think about that. It means your work is worship. Your service is sacred, not because the world sees it, but because God does. It's easy to give your best when people are watching, when there's applause, when there's a paycheck, when there's recognition. But what about when you're invisible? Like the single mom cleaning hotel rooms at dawn, while the world sleeps just to provide a future for her children, or the nurse on the night shift who gently comforts a patient in pain, even though no one else will ever know, or the young man who quietly helps his aging grandfather dress and eat each morning, with no complaint, just love. That's holy. That's the kind of devotion Jesus invites us into. Not a life of grand gestures, but of deep sincerity in the little things. And here's the secret. When you stop working for people, their approval, their praise, their validation, and start working for God, everything changes. Suddenly, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. A dish washed with love becomes a prayer. A kind word offered at work becomes a blessing. A task done with care becomes a reflection of heaven. And yes, there will be moments when you feel unseen, when your effort seems to go unnoticed. When no one claps, no one thanks you, no one returns the favor. But in those moments, remember this truth. You are not working for man. You are working for something eternal. Jesus didn't ask us to do big things. He asked us to do everything with big love, with excellence, with intention, with our whole heart. So whether you're building a company, sweeping a floor, raising a child, or healing a wound, do it as if God Himself is watching, because He is. And when you give your best, not for applause, but out of devotion, you're not just doing work, you're building the kingdom. In a world that glorifies power, speed, and success, Jesus showed us that the real revolution begins with something far quieter and far greater. Service. To serve is not to lower yourself. It is to rise into your highest purpose. It is to live with intention, with love, with eternity in mind. Because, in the end, we won't be remembered by how much we took, but by how much we gave. Not by what we owned, but by who we lifted. Not by the titles we carried, but by the hearts we touched. So may we serve not out of guilt, fear, or pride, but out of gratitude, out of joy. Out of the deep knowing that to serve is to live like Christ. And if this message stirred something in you, if it reminded you of what truly matters, subscribe, like, and share this video, not for numbers, but so together we can spread this truth, this light, this call to love and serve to every soul who needs to hear it, because this message matters, now more than ever.